Hello, welcome to Cafecito Sin Mapa Unmapped Coffee Chats. I'm your host, Jacqueline, and today we get to talk to my cousin, Clarissa. Say
Hello,
hello, Clarissa.
guys.
She is a first generation Mexican American. She's a book lover, a business student, a musician. We're actually different generations. I might be older, but she's in my dad's generation. She's my dad's cousin.
No, that's crazy. I'm
Is that
like the
insane?
youngest turning 21 this year.
It's so weird because when we do like family pictures at reunions, you're with my dad in that
Yeah.
group, and it's so weird. Anyway, so we're gonna chat about all of Clarissa's labels and identities and where she is today. So grab your coffee and let's chat. Starting off, what's your coffee order, Clarissa?
Today, my coffee order is ice vanilla latte.
Okay, my fave.
Basic, but it's great.
No, I love a basic coffee. That's literally my order anywhere I go, honestly. Today I got to make I've been playing around with the spread because I really want to make it into a syrup, and I think I finally nailed
Okay.
it.
I
I
gotta try
made
it.
Yeah, so I made this when you're back in New York. Clarissa lives in New York as well. I'll make it for you because it's really good. But all right, let's go ahead and get into the topics because we will derail. Let's start with you being first gen and Mexican American. When did you really realize what the difference is between like being first generation versus just being Mexican American in America?
I feel like the biggest thing that I realized is the opportunities that I have been given. I feel like because I'm first gen, a lot of times, especially with scholarships, they tend to give you more money because they want you to just be able to succeed and stuff. But also just having that feeling of being able to go to college, something that neither of my parents were able to do, and making that pathway for hopefully my future kids as well to be able to be as successful. And even without the education that my parents got, they were both very successful before my mom got sick. So,
Yeah, that's really interesting for me to hear you say that because I feel like I did not take advantage of all of the opportunities first gen really brings. A
mhm,
lot of the times I feel like I thought it was more of a hindrance to me and something that I was trying to minimize.
mhm.
Whereas it sounds like for you, it was your power. It was
Yeah,
a way to get what you want, right?
yeah. And I feel like as someone who first started off in the suburbs of Chicago and seeing a lot of my family, or not my family, but like my friends and their family struggle and being first generation, I feel like for us, we've always been told to use that to your advantage. Use
Mhm.
that to be able to get out, to be able to become successful in whatever way, shape, form
Mhm.
for that the individual choose. And I feel like using that to be able to get into NYU and be able to get the scholarships that I've been able to and get to explore the world that many of I feel like Hispanics don't get to do because they feel like they should be staying at home. Really, I took that as my advantage.
Yeah. Okay. So a few things there and just that answer alone.
Hmm.
So we'll take it the first one. Do you think that mentality came from your parents or your like support system? Where do you feel you really pulled at the fact that it's a strength and something that you can build on and it's not something that you should be frowned upon or
Yeah,
dismissed?
I think with my mom being an American and growing up here, she always took things and learned from her father that you need to take things as they go and take advantage of everything that you can receive. So growing up, having my mom be like, oh, because of whatever reason, use that to your advantage to be able to get the things that you want to accomplish. And I feel like with that support system and that mentality, it really did help me be able to reach for the stars. Even though something seemed very impossible, I said, okay, but I'm able to do it. And I'm going to bring up like a history teacher. He said that I was gonna not going to get an A in his class, that I was going to get a B because he wanted to see me fail. And I proved him wrong because the finals was after winter break, which is really weird because
Yeah.
usually you would have finals before. So I had that whole week of studying and I studied 15 hours. And when I went into that exam, it took me 15 minutes to answer 100 questions and I got 99 questions correct out of those 100. Because I knew that regardless of him trying to push me down and be like, "Oh, because I want you want to get straight A's, I'm going to make sure you get a B." I was able to pass the exam. So I feel like even when people try to bring you down, I feel like for me, it is a motivation to try to prove I'm wrong.
To prove them wrong. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that's part of us being stubborn because I can
Yeah.
relate to that. Anytime someone tells me I'm not going to do it or can't do it, that's my motivation to get it done because I have to show you wrong. Like,
Hmm. Especially when it comes to grades or like school or stuff like that. It's
yeah.
like, oh, I will prove you wrong to show you that I can do it. And I feel like that was always my motivation because in reality, I didn't have great teachers back
Hmm.
home in Chicago. They looked down upon us a lot because of our family members and because of the location that I lived in and being in the low income. And we were known as many different names that are not
Mhm.
very nice. And so that just proved to me that I had to work harder to be able to get to where I am.
What kind of kept you going during that time, though? Because that can be very discouraging. The people that should be uplifting you, you're spending a lot of time in school. I mean, more time in school than at home.
Mhm.
And yet they're the ones that were beating you down essentially and saying you weren't going to really be anything more.
Yeah, I think what really motivated me was not wanting to be in my hometown anymore. I
Mhm.
think seeing how everything is going, even now to this day, where you constantly get notifications of shootings or whatever, I knew that that wasn't a life for me. I didn't want to have to walk out and possibly die because of it. And it was very scary because the places that you would assume to be safe were becoming unsafe.
Mm,
And I knew as me as an individual, I had to leave. I had to make my life better. And in the future, I might go back and try to make things better, but I had to think about myself and be selfish for once because I
mm.
always tried to make everyone else
Yeah.
the forefront of my decisions. And moving in high school, mid high school career
Yeah.
for my selfishness to get a better education, I was like, I need to do that for myself, regardless of who I'm leaving behind. Because the people who are going to support me are going to support me, and the people that don't, I'm sorry, but I got to do what I have to do.
Yeah. And for the listeners, tell us, where did you grow up originally?
I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago,
And then you just
a hometown called Waukegan.
Waukegan. And then
Yeah.
you made the decision to move to Texas
Yes.
mid high school career.
Yeah.
So well, there's a lot to unpack there. But I think the first
I
one
know.
is d- did your parents support you in making that change? Because you're young.
Yeah.
You were really young and you were kind of fleeing the nest already. Um,
Mhm.
with very valid reasons, but I feel like as a first generation Mexican Americans, my that's when my parents had like the biggest chokehold on me and wouldn't let me
Mhm.
do a lot. So what was that like when you first told them you wanted to do that?
I think it was actually very funny because my brother invited us to an open house here in Dallas where a little context to the listeners. I have an older brother who's 24 years older than me. I have two nieces and a nephew. My oldest niece is 2 years younger than me. So when I was a junior in high school, she was a sophomore in high school. So this kind of gives a little bit of context. But she needed someone to help her get out of her bubble as well. And I feel like with me coming and moving in and being Miss Little Social Butterfly compared to her, it
Mm-hmm.
really that was one of the decisions that really helped me, okay, I think moving on here would be good for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also going to the open house and seeing automatically the difference in the environment, how the teachers were way more positive and willing to help their students versus of what I was used to. And I think me and my mom were very shocked by that. And me and my mom are very independent women, and my dad has always supported us in majority of the things that we decide to do. So when we discussed this with him and said, "Hey, like this is the better opportunity," because I was tired of the constant shooting threats, the constant bomb threats, the
Yeah.
constant fights. That's not an environment for education anywhere, you know. And it was something that I decided I think it's time for me to move down here because our family had been wanting for years to move down to Texas. So this
Mhm.
was kind of like the first step in getting there. Now, my
Mhm.
dad still lives in Waukegan. My mom goes back and forth, but even then, that decision really did end up helping her health because we were able to find doctors here that were able to support her better than over there. So in the end, things happened for a reason, and it ended up getting things a lot better. So.
And you mentioned your mom's health. Your mom
Mhm.
has, can you talk a little bit about what her medical conditions are, if you're okay with
Yeah,
using that?
no, most definitely. My mom, how old am I? 20. So about 16 years ago, she went into work. She was working in a bank, passed out, and was never able to go back again.
Mm.
She became disabled. She had gastroparesis, which is the paralyzation of your stomach, so she couldn't eat. For 2 years, I want to say she was in the hospital for 18 months, and she had about more than 15 surgeries. I'm not entirely sure what the number is, but she was in the hospital, constant throw up every single day, had to be fed through a feeding tube. And even now she has kidney disease, so she's on dialysis. She has dementia and Alzheimer's, which I know are two different things, but somehow my mom is very special and has both of them, according to her doctors. So she has dementia and Alzheimer's, and then she has she has different health issues that I
Yeah.
can't even name on the top of my brain, but she's been sick for the past 16 years. So growing up, that was something I also had to deal with and not really deal with it, but help with her.
No, I mean that was a huge part of your story too growing up because
Mhm,
you did see your mom go through all these health struggles. What what was that like for you? Because I feel like though you were the baby of the family, 'cause she's the youngest,
mhm.
you still had to grow up a lot faster than I think
Yeah.
most kids do.
Yeah, I learned at the age of 5 how to do insulin, check sugar, do all that kind of stuff. So that was a major impact in knowing how to do everything in case I had to do it.
Mhm.
And seeing the doctors tell a 5-year-old me that my mom's gonna die, that was very difficult to have to try to express. But I feel like my father, I love him so much and bless his heart, he was a stay-at-home dad when my mom had me because my mom was working and traveling. So he was always with me. So I had a close relationship with him. And he took care of us. He
Mhm.
dropped everything to take care of my mom, to take care of me. He made my early childhood education very unique because he was constantly at the school making sure I was okay, but he was volunteering, doing
Oh,
popcorn, doing arts and crafts because he's a very artsy man.
good.
And just having his support there, even in school when he was just randomly throughout the building and come say hello. And my friends at the time loved him because you know how you do like those little parties
Yeah.
and everything. I would ask him, hey, can you buy chips or can you bring something? He's like, no, 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 that's not what we're gonna do. He would bring tortillas, fried chicken, Mexican rice. He brought pizzas. He brought anything that was not snacks because he said you kids need to eat.
So he took it to
Everyone
the
loved
next
him to
level.
the less next level. So when I ended up moving schools in elementary, they're like, "Can you keep your dad here? You can leave, but we want your dad."
We'll keep him.
We'll keep him. And I was like, oh, I feel so hurt by that. But he was fantastic. So I feel like having him as a support really did help. But I will say with my mom being sick and my dad being Mexican, I think I'm not sure how well your parents' vocabulary and everything is, but growing up when you had to do the reading tests, I
Mm.
would read to my father, but he would never correct me because he could never read in
Yeah.
English. So I struggle even to this day with my English reading and writing because I was never corrected when I was young,
Hmm.
because there was no support in that aspect.
I'm really glad you brought that up because I don't think I've ever even thought about it that way. I
Mhm.
struggled with reading always, and I love to
Yeah.
read, but I'm not a great reader. Like if you
Mhm.
ask me to read out loud, I'm done. Um, but yeah, I did it when we had like homework assignments to read or like you're supposed to be reading out loud. My parents didn't know any different. I could have said gibberish and they would have been like, "Yeah, you're good," you know? So
Mhm.
I never did get corrected and have that assistance at home. So it was always really, ugh, I don't know. I don't want to say discouraging, but I just hated reading class growing up.
Yeah. And I had one of those where they had to bring you aside and help you individually
Mhm.
by like those assistants.
Yeah.
And it was, I actually enjoyed it because I was like, oh my goodness, I get to read or whatever. But it was very difficult
Yeah.
reading growing because the was a, or, different kinds of things. It just mixed up in your brain where you're like, what is this? Like,
Mhm.
I can't, whatever. And in your brain, it's like you're reading it and you know what it is. But then when you try to say it out loud, it's like, no.
No, yeah. Um, what was it like having your father as the parent that showed up for school events? Because traditionally, it's usually
Mhm.
the mom that's showing up. So what was that like? Did you people ever question like where your mom was, or was it just normal?
I feel like to me as a kid, I never really realized because it was just normal to me.
Mm,
And everyone loved my father and loved the artistic side of him. It was like, it's kind of how the roles switched in a way
yeah.
because my dad grew up with majority of his sisters,
Hmm.
right? Then with his brothers. And my mom was the only girl out of five boys. So they were raised completely different. So my mom grew up more of like the businessy kind of person, while my dad grew up with the artistic and like more feminine, all that kind of stuff, where he's
Mhm.
like, I will learn everything. I'll do the artsy crafts stuff. And so to me, it was never weird
Yeah.
because it's just my normal.
Yeah.
So,
It sounds like they each got to learn about like the gender roles differently because they were
hmm
surrounded by sisters or brothers. Um,
yeah.
I love that. So that does kind of change the way I think traditionally they approached
Mhm.
things. Um, from my side, my parents are very gender role specific in like traditional Mexican roles. My mom serves my dad's plate and she's the one that cooks, she's the one that cleans. My dad works and provides. So it's very like the
Mhm.
traditional spread of roles. Um, but I want to switch gears a little bit. You mentioned, or we've talked about being first gen, you moving around. Were your parents supportive when you decided you wanted to go to NYU and move across the
It's
country
funny.
to New York City?
That's funny that you mentioned it because to, both of them to my face have said, go explore the world and everything.
Uh-huh.
Go to NYU, go to London if you want to, go to wherever you want, right? But then my dad and I had a conversation and he's like, I wish you stayed near home. And I said, well, father, if you would have told me that when I was doing applications, because in my head I said, I'm not going back to Chicago,
Right.
right? If I had a reason to, if he would have brought it up during the applications, then I would be like, okay, let me try and whatever, figure it out. Because I have done college tours in Chicago because freshman and sophomore year being
Mhm.
there, more freshman because COVID. But, I got to see the schools and I enjoyed them. I liked them. So at the time, if he brought it up, then I feel like my path would have been different, but he mentioned it afterwards, which still, regardless, he's very supportive of me going to New York. But it was kind of like, I wish you stayed home. I wish you were a little bit closer. But other than that, they both supported me being in New York City, and I feel like they've said the same thing to you. And
Yeah. No, I bet he didn't say anything because he knew that would change your
yeah,
mind and he wanted you to do what Clarissa wanted to do.
yeah,
So yeah. No, your dad's so funny. So her dad is my great uncle, right?
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah,
And he's always telling me, don't get married, don't have kids, enjoy life, do whatever it is, don't get tied down. which is very different than what my father tells me and what my mom does. So I would love to speak to him and see where he gets these ideas because I feel like
Yeah.
he's a lot more open-minded and flexible with his ideologies
Oh yeah.
compared to like what my parents are.
And I feel like also, what really made the difference was moving up north for them because they were exposed to many things that down south would be seen as like, oh, we don't want that kind of thing. Because I grew up, which is crazy. I grew up as a performer, doing musicians and all that kind of stuff. And I even performed with drag queens when I was 13 years old.
Oh my God,
So
I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. So I did performances with drag queens and I've done performances with everyone. And even when my dad is doing karaoke, him and his friend, they're doing their performances as well. So my dad's not very a performer like outside, he'll just sing, but like
Mhm.
his friend will always do like the performance and stuff, and we just laugh. So I grew up in a very openly minded family where,
Mhm.
it didn't really matter, and where people might see as kids going to see drag queen shows as a bad thing, my parents were like, no. It's art, it's dance, it's performance. You get to be who you are. And they accepted me to perform with these people. And so it was my parents are very open-minded in a lot of those things. So,
I love that. I did not know that.
yeah.
Like I knew
I,
you grew up as a musician and we can get into that now too, but I did not know that you were performing with drag queens.
yeah, I
That's
did
so
like
fun.
for Dia de los Muertos or something like that for Halloween or whatever. I did a performance with a drag queen, a friend of ours. Yeah. He did an event and we were out there performing with ballet folklorico and everything.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Well, getting into you being a musician, so Clarissa, you grew up very much influenced by being a Mexican and
mhm.
performing in mariachi bands, singing with your dad. So tell us a little bit about when did that first start?
Yeah. So around first grade, okay, let me preface this. I play 9 instruments. So it's kind of gone along the way. Now I know how to play 9 instruments. It might take me a minute to be like, oh, can you play this? And I'll be like, give me a second. Let me try to remember how to do it. But
Uh-huh.
I know how to play 9 instruments. It started off, I want to say, when I was about 6 or 7 years old with the mandolin for the church choir. And I started with that for several years. And then fourth grade came around and they're like, now's the time for orchestra instruments. And I said, let me do the violin. And when I came home to tell my mom what instrument I wanted to play, she was praying, please not the violin, because my brother played the violin. She did not like it. She did not encourage him to continue playing the violin. Let's just say that.
Fair enough.
She didn't discourage it, but she didn't encourage it either. So,
Mhm.
but when I came, she was like, please not the violin. I said, I want to play the violin. And she's like, oh, okay, fine. And so I started playing the violin fourth grade year. I moved elementary schools fifth grade year because there was a mariachi program at another elementary school, which my school wouldn't let me leave 20 minutes early once a week to attend. So I ended up switching schools instead. So yeah, that was fun. So I ended up doing mariachi with them for several years up until seventh grade. Then eighth grade year, I joined a professional mariachi group, and then COVID hit, so I ended up having to stop. Then I did mariachi here in Dallas because they just started a program, and I played the guitarron there. And then now I play for the NYU mariachi. Now, with all that, I also did ballet folklorico while doing mariachi. So there was times where I had to get dressed in the car, get ready for the next performance, going back and forth. And I just learned and picked up other instruments along the way because I was just interested in it.
Oh my gosh. What's your favorite instrument?
Cello.
Okay. Okay.
I prefer the cello.
And you also do you lead the mariachi band here in at NYU?
I am currently the person kind of in charge of the violins at NYU, but it kind of goes back and forth because I wasn't there this past semester. But because as of right now, I'm one of the older ones who have been there for the violins, I'm the one taking over a little bit.
what has that been like getting to play in such different locations and now getting to be a little bit more in a leadership role and kind of starting it off, right? Because I think it's, is it a newer program at NYU?
Yeah, so there is currently now going into senior year, someone who's at the engineering school named Diego. He started the mariachi when I was in freshman year. I didn't find out until my second semester. He is Mexican American, I believe, as well. And he wanted something to bring in our culture, which we didn't really see much at NYU.
Mhm.
And so he started it off. He grew up in a mariachi family, I believe. He plays pretty
Mhm.
much majority of the instruments that you need in the mariachi. So he'll
Uh-huh.
go back and forth between all of them to just kind of teach us. So he's the one in charge currently. Um, and then we have people from all over the different schools who are just joining us, and we're still having more people coming in. As someone who's in, I wouldn't say like a leadership role, but more of someone who is like, I guess, a higher up in the violence section,
Mhm.
it's hard because I personally, I'm a leader in a lot of things, but in music, I prefer not to. Because that's something that I feel like is a lot of pressure. Like there's
Mhm.
pressure in a lot of things, but I feel like in music, I feel like there's always someone who's better than me, which I know that it's more of like a self-conscious thing in my head
Yeah.
because they were like, "Oh, you played wonderful," but I'm like, yeah, I'd rather have like someone else kind of do it, which I feel like is really weird. But yeah, I feel like setting up. I basically have sectionals and we kind of just play with each other and kind of figure out how the music kind of goes around. So there's not a lot right now since I haven't been there for the past semester.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for me to say because going through my brain, I'm like, how did I really accomplish this? But I
Yeah.
did try to help in any way that I could. So with ideas and stuff like that.
How was the mariachi band accepted in NYU?
I feel like everyone enjoys it, but there has been a little bit of difficulties trying in becoming a club. From the last thing that I've heard, it is a club now, but while I was there,
Okay.
it was not. So it's kind of like, in a way, they accepted us and they wanted us to perform everywhere for them and do everything for their programs, but it was really hard for us to get accepted as a club.
Mm. So gaining that recognition took some time.
Hmm. Yeah, it really did. And I feel like with the first year, we performed at the Hispanic graduation, and people were like, "Oh, we didn't know there was a mariachi." And and they started crying because they're like, "Oh my goodness, there's a mariachi, like we're finally being heard." But it kind of took a little bit for us to get to where we are, where now we're officially seen as a club.
Mhm.
And I'm not entirely sure how the logistics of all that ended up
Yeah.
happening, but it was very difficult at times because we had no funding. So we had to figure out how to do fundraising stuff. We struggled with finding a classroom for practicing. And mind you, there is about 20 to 22 people. And so sometimes we were able to get a big practice room. Sometimes we had to split into little groups, or sometimes we just had to be like, we got to figure something else out, you know? And the music school ended up seeing us and giving us a practice room where it's like every whatever day here it was, but that was until the second year. And
Okay.
now we're going on to our third year where now we're being officially seen as a club. So I feel like each year is kind of getting better in a way. Now we're trying to figure out, yet again, I don't know the logistics of it, but we're trying to figure out what our next steps is because the person who is in charge currently is a senior. So
Mhm.
we're trying to figure out how we keep the program running without having the person who founded it.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I mean, visibility really matters. And the more I talk to people and even just spend more time in New York, I feel like even the small steps are huge, right?
Yeah.
Even like you've probably heard me talk about real women have curves a lot. So
Yes.
sad you didn't get to be here
I
while it
know. It's so
showed.
sad.
But just having the space on Broadway where these stories are being
Hmm.
told. They had a mariachi group there as
Mhm.
well. So it it just goes to show that we're taking up space, like as much as
Yes, we
we're
are.
really not supposed to be, and
Hmm.
um, we're being seen in a way, and I think that's powerful.
That is. And I really enjoy seeing that our culture is being shown everywhere. And yeah, I know that this past semester they performed at Washington Square Park.
Did
They
they?
did a little performance out there and just
Oh,
played, I think for it was around Cinco de Mayo, I think, where they decided to go out there and perform at Washington Square Park because
oh,
NYU's campus is there.
yeah. I love that. Okay, so actually, this brings me back to us being first gen Mexican Americans
Yeah.
living in NYC. Clarissa actually got to study abroad this last semester, so she's our little world traveler now as well. But what was it like for you moving to New York? Because we kind of touched it earlier, but you were the first one to leave, and you have your mom who's ill, and there's a lot of pressure there for you to
Yeah.
stay. So, what empowered you to still make the move and choose yourself when picking where you were going next after high school?
Yeah. I think I wanted to go far more for me
Mm,
because I knew that if I stayed close to home, I wouldn't have had the chance to grow and would have like suppressed myself in a way
yeah.
because I would have wanted to help in any way that I can, and maybe I wouldn't have been able to focus on my classes more because I would have been close to home. So if my mom got sick, that would be my main priority. Even though she tells me, Clarissa, school goes first, your life goes first, and everything like that, I still would have had that, heaviness on my shoulders. So I knew that I did not want to be close to home. I knew that I had to go somewhere where I can have that individuality and explore and just try to find who I am as a person. So I feel like moving to New York, it wasn't very difficult, especially having to leave home when I was 16 to come to a different school in high
Yeah.
school. So I feel moving to Dallas and then moving to New York, it wasn't very difficult for me because I already left my dad back
Yeah.
home. And then it was just me leaving the rest of my family. So
Yeah.
it was hard, but I knew that I needed to do it. And I think having you in there in New York with me also really helps as well because I do have a family member there that I
Yeah.
can call up and be like, hey, I need your help, which I've done several times.
Yeah.
So
Funny enough, I don't think Clarissa and I even really met until we were both living in New York.
yeah,
But
we
we've
we've
had
probably
came
seen each
across
other.
each other
Yeah,
like a couple of times, but we really didn't sit down and chat and get to know each other until we moved.
yeah, and we met each other right before Thanksgiving, and then you're like, hey, come over for Thanksgiving. I'm like, I got nothing to do. Let's go.
Yes. Yeah, because then you got to like hang out with my mom and some of my friends that were
Yes.
visiting. Yeah. Um, so now that you have been away from the nest, and I mean you've words. You've been here for what, 3 years now? Two and a
It's
half?
going on 3 years.
Going
Yeah,
on three.
2.5 going
Um,
3.
have you had a lot of self-discovery? Like, what has been the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself so far?
The biggest thing that I've learned about myself is that I like to do big events with others, but then I also like spending time by myself where I can just stay in my bed and just read.
Yeah.
I think I discovered reading as a huge thing once I left home.
Hmm. I can see
So
that.
I think there's that. And then also navigating my way through New York City. I feel like everyone kind of struggles with that, but it was a little easy for me. I did get lost in the subway twice. I will say that. But for the 3 years, going on 3 years that I've been there, getting lost twice is not that bad.
No, I feel like same. It was not hard at all for me to just like get into the pace of New York.
Hmm.
As much as I thought it was going to, because I actually had that fear moving here. It was, I don't know anybody. What am I gonna do? what if I get lost? Who's supposed to help me? Like, I don't have
Mhm.
friends. There's all these things, but
Well,
I
yeah.
settled in so quickly and I got lost on the subway once or twice as well. But you figure it out. And then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now someone asked me directions and I actually know where to point them
Hmm.
to. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm local now. But yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Did you find that you were kind of forced to spend time by yourself and find reading and finding those outlets of still enjoying yourself while being alone?
I don't think I necessarily needed to find that because I feel like I enjoy my alone time, especially since being in Dallas, I share a room with my
Mhm.
niece. So I don't get that alone time. And also in New York, I stay in the dorm. So I also
Yeah.
don't get that aloneness. So knowing that I have like the reading where I can go into my little corner of my bed and just be myself and go into like, I guess another world per se,
Yeah.
it was just something that I needed to do alone. But when it comes to
So it's like an
going
escape route for
places,
you.
yeah, it's kind of like an escape route for me. But when it's going places, I prefer to go places with
With
people.
people.
So if
Yeah.
I'm going to the park, I'd rather go with someone else than go
Mm.
by myself. So I think it just really depends. Now, if I need to go by myself or I feel like going by myself, then I'll do it. But
Mm.
I'm very, what's the word? I'm never, is it for when you're doing like you're an introvert, extrovert? Like,
Is that what it's
um,
called? Because
I think that's what it's called.
I relate to that. I feel like I love people and I love hanging out with people. I love doing stuff, but I recharge by myself
Yeah.
and I enjoy
I
it.
think it's called an omnivore or something like that. Yeah. I don't
Okay.
know. It starts with an A, I believe.
See, and I was forced to spend time alone because I didn't know anybody and I
Hmm.
was in a new city, so I wanted to explore. And so I started just to do things by myself and I've loved it. I love going to a diner by myself and just people watching. I love walking at the park by myself, going to new coffee shops. I went to the movies by myself for the first time. I went to see Lilo and Stitch by myself
How was that?
and it was so fun. I had the best time. I really did. I got a bucket of popcorn and some chicken strips and I just really enjoyed myself. I think I even cried a few times because Lilo and Stitch was just so cute. But yeah, um, and a lot of the times, like my mom's like, "Don't you get tired of being alone?" Or like, that's usually the big question is
Hmm.
you're alone. It's like, well, it's not the same as being lonely. I'm not lonely.
Hmm.
Um, what has what's the biggest thing you miss about being back home?
The chaos.
Oh,
Yeah, the chaos
you miss
because
the
there's always
chaos?
sometimes, yes, because I miss the arguing between me and my nieces. For me about to be 21, the amount of times that I've been called ancient in the past several years of my life really hurts. Mind you, I'm only 2 years older than my oldest niece, but they love to joke about that all the time. And when I was a senior in high school, my middle niece, who's going to be 15 now, but she was, I want to say about 12 or whatever, she would call me a senior citizen because I was a senior in high school.
Not your
She's like,
nieces
"You're the
being your
oldest, so you're a
bully.
senior citizen." I know, right? But I love it, and it's just also the bantering with me and my brother, especially now that I'm older, being 24 years apart, it's kind of difficult to have like that sibling bond. But
Mhm.
now that I'm older, we get to joke around, we get to laugh, and we get to, say jokes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I miss the chaos. Sometimes it's like that keeps me going. But, I also enjoy my quietness. So it's like I get the best of both worlds where over there I'm like, calm and collected,
Yeah.
and then I get home and it's just chaos. Pure. pure chaos.
With the big age gap between you two, what was your relationship with him growing up?
Well, I didn't, growing up, it was more of a phone call here and there.
Mm.
Like I knew he was my brother, but there was no bond
Yeah.
there because he was living in California. We were living in Chicago. So there it was very difficult and whenever for like birthdays, because usually my birthday falls around Columbus Indigenous Day where we have like
Mhm.
those like couple days off where it's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday we have off. So
Yeah.
we would go for my birthday every couple of years. And I would see him, but he would be working.
Mm.
So it was very difficult for me to create this bond with him, especially, you know, this big age gap. And so then when I moved here to Texas, it was also difficult because I was under 18 and he was trying to act as a parental figure because I was living under his roof, which was perfectly fine. But we would have disagreements on that part because I'm like, you're not my dad. I have a father. So trying to find that balance between him being so much older and me
Mm.
being like under 18, still not an adult yet, it was very difficult. Now that I'm 20 going on 21, it's a completely different thing because I can be like, hey, I'm going here and be like, bye, thank you for letting me know. I'll keep an eye on Life 360 just to make sure you're safe, but otherwise, go do your thing.
Yeah.
And so each time I get home, it's kind of like our bond changes in a different way.
Mhm.
So,
I like that. Yeah, because now there's a little bit more to relate to
mhm,
as you're becoming an adult or are an adult
yes.
versus he probably felt like he needed to protect you as a kid,
Yeah.
and be a father figure, and that can cause a little bit of,
Riffraff, like
yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've gone back and forth here. Let's talk about you being a business student. What are you studying?
I am studying marketing and entrepreneurship.
What made you choose that?
Well, I've always hated the creative side of stuff, so
Yeah.
I feel like marketing was just the perfect combination of analytics, but also creativity. Because you can go either the creative marketing side or you can go to the analytics marketing side.
Yeah.
And I kind of enjoy both of them. So being able to go either way, either route was something that I enjoyed having that option for. And entrepreneurship, it was more because I find it interesting starting a new business, but also if I'm going to go to a $90,000 school, even though I'm not paying that much, might as well come out with two degrees.
For
That
real.
was basically what taking a double minor or a double major was
Yeah,
for, because I might as well come out with all the education I can than just one.
that's
But
insane.
yeah,
Being
to
a
my
double
future goal,
major at NYU,
yeah.
what has that been like for you? Just because I feel like probably just having one major at NYU is stressful, much less having two.
Yeah, I think as of right now, it hasn't been very difficult because I've been doing all my basics. So starting this year is when it's like actually doing marketing, actually doing entrepreneurship. So looking at my schedule that I have for next semester, I'm like, I have 5 classes and majority of them are all quantitative. And I'm like, this is going to be a very interesting semester. Like I have a coding class because that's one of the required courses that I have to take. And I'm like, let's see how this goes.
I think this is going to be a fun semester.
Oh yeah. I love math
Yeah,
sometimes, unless it's calculus. Calculus is where I draw the line.
fair enough. I think I did not like calculus either. Don't ask me to do math now, but I actually really liked my quantitative classes, like stats classes. Um,
Yeah,
well, I'm excited for you. Can't wait to see
thank you.
what you do. And I'm glad you're going to be back in the city.
I know. I miss the city. I was literally looking at tickets the other day and I was like, if I go for a couple days, how much is this gonna cost me?
Oh my gosh. Well, you'll be back soon enough. Um,
Yeah.
with all of this, we also talked about you being a book lover. So, what are you reading right
Yes.
now?
That's a very good question. It's been very chaotic, but currently I'm rereading for like the fifth time Capture by Rosalie because I love that book for some
Interesting.
reason.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Fun fact, I refuse to friend Clarissa on Goodreads because how many books have you read this year?
Let me pull that up. Give me one second.
It makes
It's
me feel
like,
bad for not reading, and I'm like cannot keep up with her, so I just will not follow her.
I think I'm at book 118 of this year.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's kind of bad.
what do you usually read?
I read romance books. So
Okay.
I read from the cutest little small town romance to what did I just read? So there's a huge range there.
Oh, you recommended one to me, and I started
Yeah,
reading it,
I
and I was
did.
like, why is my little cousin telling me to read this?
Yeah.
And, like it felt wrong that the recommendation came from you.
Yeah, but like it was a good book. I don't know if you
I
finished
haven't
reading it,
finished
but
it because I like got too much in my head. I was like, I can't read this right now.
okay, but like
I'm
20.
gonna finish it. I'll read it, but
It wasn't like I was 18 when I recommended it to you.
true, true. Um, she recommended praise for
Yes, I like that.
anybody out there that's a reader. Um, yeah, so I don't know. Another one that you had me read was If He Had Been With Me. Is that
Yes,
it
that
has
was
like
one
the
of them.
lollipops on the front of this? Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God. Okay, so that one we had differing opinions on it
Hmm.
because I think you mentioned it like making you boohoo,
Yes, because I completely forgot the beginning of the book.
which is crazy because for someone who didn't read it in one sitting, I did not forget the beginning of the book. So I knew,
Hmm.
and so like it didn't, I was like, oh, that's how it happened. But I wasn't,
Yeah,
it didn't pull at my heartstrings like it did to you. But it was
but
so
I
fun
feel
getting to have someone to talk to about it. I think
yes,
I
but
texted
I
you
feel like
immediately.
yes, you did. But I feel like also it hit different, especially since I think I read that when I was 16.
Oh,
So it 16, 17. So I was a lot
yeah.
younger. So it hit me different than if I were to be reading it now.
Yeah. Oh, well, that makes sense because it's like you were kind of in that same era of
Yeah.
the time period because they were kids.
Yeah.
They're
And
adults.
I and the second book, it was in the beginning part was in his point of view. Now that made me cry.
I have not read that one.
Yeah. It that made me cry because you saw it in his point of view of what
Yeah.
happened. And I was like, that is just
Interesting.
pure. Like you ripped my heart. Like it was worse than the first time.
Yeah.
The first book for me.
Which which book would you say is like the number one book that you can go back and read and it'll make you cry and just tear you apart?
For me to cry and tear me apart, that's difficult. Oh, it was a book series that I did on my TikTok recently. I forgot which book it was, but it was let me go through my thing. Hold up.
Tell
It's
us.
yes, hold up. I'm pulling up my Canva right now. Because I did a post on it. It was a while ago that I read this one. But essentially, for anyone who has trigger warnings, I will say trigger warnings right now. Um, it was called the Wishbone Tattoo series, and it mentions a lot of past trauma, emotional abuse, PTSD, survivor's guilt, substance abuse, self-harm, suicidal ideation, school shootings, extreme violence, past toxic relationships, and all that kind of stuff. And it's a three-book series, so it's like different kinds of like each couple has a different kind of thing. But it was what we need that broke my heart the most out of all of them because I'm gonna kind of tell you about the first chapter because it goes straight into it. He was in a school shooting, and it was his girlfriend while they were dancing at their senior prom got shot, was the first one to get shot in his arms.
Oh
So
my
it goes
God.
through the whole thing, and that one makes me cry every
Wait,
single
okay.
time.
Tell me again, what are these books called?
It's called the Wishbone series by Lizzie Stanley, and it's what we deserve, what we need, and what we want. So that series would be, especially the second book, would be something that I would cry every single time, seeing the characters go, or specifically Dean, go
Ooh,
through what he went through.
yeah. Well, I will definitely be reading that because I love anything
Yeah.
that'll tug at my heartstrings.
Yeah. I was like, when I was thinking of that question, I was like, what book? And I was like, that book is the one. Like,
Mm.
I'm in London, laying down in bed at 3 in the morning. And that the thing is, I read it out of order because I saw it on TikTok. Of course, TikTok gives you
Of
all
course.
the recommendations. And so I was like, okay. And it said that I could read it as a standalone, I believe. So I was like, oh, I'll just start
Oh,
with the second one, right? So I started with the second one. It makes more sense if you read the first one in order, but I went straight to the second one.
okay.
And that first chapter, I read it and I was like bawling my eyes out because it was just like, it hurt so deeply.
Mm.
And then it goes into like I think 10 years, 10, 15 years later. And then goes into like the current story.
Wow. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, okay. There's
But
only
that
been
one,
one book that made me like boo-hoo. And I must have been like PMSing or something because I don't understand why it hit me that hard.
yeah.
But it was A Thousand Boy Kisses. Have
Mm,
you read that
yeah.
one?
I haven't read that yet because I
It's
don't think it's on
so
Kindle.
cute. It's really cute. I don't even know, like, I don't want to spoil it, but essentially, the main character, it's like her point of view. She gets diagnosed with cancer. And so it kind of goes through
Mm,
that journey of first love, her wanting to like
yeah.
protect her boyfriend and
Boyfriend.
getting treatment and not telling him. And it's like all this stuff.
Hmm.
And then like at the end she dies and oh,
That one, that would hurt me because I saw TikTok on one of the books that I have on my Kindle, right? And it was like a guy saw a girl and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna die. I want you to be my girlfriend for the next 6 months. When I die, you get my inheritance," or something like that.
oh,
Or like be my wife for the next 6 months or something like that. And I was like,
yeah.
that would make me cry. I said, because knowing that he dies at the end, and then they go through all this like bonding, and then for him to just die, I'm like, that would actually tear my heart apart.
Because it's like transactional, but then I'm sure they like actually fell in love and like
Well, love,
connected
yeah.
during that time. Oh, hmm. Okay, now I actually want to go like read. I've been in a slump not reading recently, so this
Mm,
is making me want to go read again. Um, you mentioned TikTok. Are you on
yes.
TikTok?
Yes, I'm on TikTok and Instagram.
What is it? Plug. Come on.
My Okay, it's CECES Bookish Rants. So CC's Bookish Rants
Amazing. We'll tag
for
you.
both TikTok and Instagram.
Lovely. I know.
Thank yous.
I've watched your first couple posts because you're it's pretty new still, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still
Um,
working on how everything works.
but it's so exciting to see what you're reading. Though I refuse to do your Goodreads, but for anybody who wants to keep up with you, can they follow you on Goodreads?
Yes, I forgot what my username for Goodreads is, but I think it's on my TikTok account.
Go find it.
I think.
For any
Hold
big
on, let me go find it.
readers, I'm sure they'd want to go see what your
Oh,
recommendations are.
yes. Let me look at my account. I'm still navigating through like Goodreads. I don't know how to
I
navigate through it.
I suck at updating
Um,
updating it. So half the time, like it's not up to date on what I actually have read or finished.
See, mine is up to date because it's connected to my Amazon account. on Kindle.
Oh.
So
Oh yeah,
it's
because you're a
connected
Kindle
to through
reader.
there. Yes, I'm a Kindle reader. I don't even know how to check my username. I will
Girl.
figure it out and
Okay,
send it to you.
we'll figure it out and post it. Something that we didn't get to talk about, so we're gonna loop back to you being Mexican American. What's your favorite meal?
Hmm. Oh, oh, that's difficult. I feel like pozole.
Really?
Yes, I
Mm,
love pozole.
interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
specifically verde.
I do prefer
I like
prepared
all of them.
verde.
I'll eat all of them, but verde is my favorite.
That's my
Hmm.
preference. Mine would
It's
have to be,
my to go to.
I love
Hmm.
mole. I love mole. You don't?
See, don't like mole. I
Clarissa,
don't like the soup. I don't like the one with chocolate.
girl.
I like my
Oh,
dad's mole, but like I won't go to like a restaurant and order it.
well,
I'll eat it.
it's not one that you order at restaurants. No, it needs to
No.
be like homemade. Like yeah, no, I'd rather make it myself than go buy it
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah, no, no.
Well,
And tamales.
as you know, oh, tamales, yes. Our tamales thing.
You want to tell them? I'm gonna tell them. Clarissa texted me. You should come over. I'm making tamales. I interpreted this as they're ready. Come eat tamales at my place because that's always been what people do. They call me when it's done and I go eat. I show up and this girl has all the ingredients out on the tables and her friends and like roommates were helping make them and I was hungry. And she's like, "No, we're making tamales. I want you to come help." I was like, so I ordered pizza so that we could have pizza while we
Yeah.
were making tamales because I was too hungry.
Oh, were they not good?
They were delicious, actually. I was so impressed. I was so impressed.
Thank you.
I will say I did not have much faith, not to be mean, but you're so young. So I was like, what's Clarissa gonna do?
But Jackie, I've made you food like 3 times
I
already.
know, but I just feel like tamales are such a big process, and so I was like, I had no expectations, and I was blown. I called my mom afterwards, and I was like, Clarissa can make tamales.
And we also did like a
She
ofrenda
can
con el
make
Día
them
de los
well.
Muertos.
We did do that. That was fun.
Yeah.
Um, I do feel bad for calling out your friend for the way he was spreading the masa. Because as someone who doesn't make tamales or I've never made them or helped make them, I do love to give direction. And I was like, boy,
You're not doing it right.
yeah,
I was just like, here's my thing. He's from the south of Mexico. We're from the north of Mexico, right? They do things differently. I'm not gonna correct. I was like, they might do things differently. Like I thought he knew what he was doing, so I was like, do them how.
no, okay, guys, he has the hoja and he's spreading the masa on it, just like and moving on. And it's not covered, it's thin. It's
It's
not like
very
you're supposed
thin.
to do it from like side to side all the way down, right? And
Yeah.
it be a little bit thick because you want it to still like be a casing. And there was holes in it. There was like it was smeared on one part, but not the other half. It was so thin. And I watched him do it a couple times, and I was like,
Hmm.
maybe it's a fluke. And then I saw him do it again. And I was looking at you and I saw that you saw, but you weren't doing anything about it. And I was like, I'm gonna be the one stuck eating those because I was hungry and I knew I was like, So I said, what are you doing? I felt so bad. It just came out of me. I wasn't planning on saying anything, but it just like came
Yeah.
out of me when I saw him do it like the third time. I was like, what are you doing?
Yep.
And he just started laughing.
That's him for you. That's my bestie. Like I quit questioning him at this point. Like, yeah.
It, I'm glad I didn't scare him because I was definitely like,
Oh, you can't scare him. Like that's the one thing about him. He's not easily scared. So he was laughing. But when I tell you this, you know how much we made? I want to say we had those aluminum foils, the huge ones, and we
Mhm.
had two full of them, right? I left one of those in the refrigerator. They were gone 2, 3 days later.
Sure. I
Yeah.
think I had mentioned them at work and thought about taking some from a couple of my friends.
Hmm.
I ate them myself. I said, I'm not sharing these.
Yeah.
I'm not sharing them.
And then I would take them out of the freezer because I was like, oh, I'm gonna put the remainders in the freezer so that during finals week we can just eat it. I pulled them out. Next thing you know it, they're all gone.
They're
And
gone.
I'm like, okay, sure. Like as long as they're being eaten, I do not care.
I will
Mind
also
you,
say I thought about Eric because he made horchata that day too.
yes, he
And it
did.
was really good. I still think about
It
it.
it's really good, but it really messed up my stomach.
Not you being lactose
But
intolerant and you still drank
he
it.
put no, but he put so much milk in there.
I'm gonna need the recipe because I still think about it. It was so good.
I can just tell him to make you some.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. But it was really good. That day was very fun. I
It
enjoyed it.
was. I had a great time. And at first I was like, here's this 29-year-old. Well, I guess I might have been 28 years old at the time, going to hang out with these 19, 20-year-olds.
I was the youngest one.
You were.
Eric's the youngest one. Everyone else was like 21, 22.
Yeah. Also, I was so flattered because they all just assumed I was a student.
Yeah.
I was like,
Because,
do I look young?
but the thing is, it's like, I'm like, oh, my cousin's coming over. Like, they would expect,
Yeah.
like, us to be closer in age, not, very far in age. I didn't really go into much detail. I just said, oh, my cousin's coming over.
Yeah,
And that
because
was basically it.
you're 9 years younger than me.
Yeah, I know. I try to figure out who's the one above me in our age gap.
For kid, like
Like, in my generation.
Yesenia.
Is it her? I don't know.
That's who I think it is.
I thought it was Ciclali. I don't know. It's someone. It's someone.
I don't know how old she is.
I don't know. All I know is I's the babies.
Used a baby and they sure treat you like a baby.
Yeah.
Spoiled.
I disagree. I'm not that spoiled.
Okay.
There are more spoiled people out there, and I'm not one of them.
No, no. You're loved.
Yes,
Well,
and I love everyone
Clarissa,
doing.
thank you so much for letting us chat with you. Any parting
Of
words
course.
or anything that I can tell you what my takeaways were from having this conversation, but what do you want people's takeaway to be from getting to hear you on the podcast?
Yeah, I feel like the takeaway is if you're deciding to do something big, go for it because it can really make a difference in your life for the better,
Mhm.
and not to
Yeah.
keep people around you to keep you behind. If you want to move, if you want to go exploring, just do it because life is very short.
Yes.
So,
I think at any age, I mean, you started at 16. It was definitely further along for me when I started choosing myself and choosing to move. But when you can make that jump and it feels selfish. It
it
feels
does.
selfish at first to make a choice based off of just what you want to do and not take into consideration what your parents might want you to do or whatever. Um, but that's like the first step to freedom to me.
Mhm.
Or for me, it was. I felt like I started to learn more and more about myself the longer I stayed away. Whereas
Yeah.
at the beginning it was tough and I definitely was like I was sad that like my parents were having cookouts with my brothers or like party, whatever was going on back home. I felt
Yeah.
left out and I was like, wow, I could be closer and be enjoying all of that. But once I got past that part,
Hmm.
the like I think self-discovery really started and I feel way more myself now than I ever
Hmm.
have.
Yeah. And it does hurt not being able to go to events and everything like that. But like,
Yeah.
we have each other. We
We
can make our
do.
own event happening, just the two of us.
Yeah,
But
no, it has made it nice to have you here, honestly. And you bring back some of the like Mexican heritage back into my life
mhm.
being here because you like to cook. And so,
Oh,
Clarissa, okay, truth be told, I'm so glad you're coming back because now you can cook for me. But she'll come over to my apartment and cook me like picadillo and rice and make tostadas
yeah.
and whatnot.
No,
So,
because what time you were coming back from, I believe, Italy, right? And I was taking
yeah,
care,
you were taking care of Olive.
yeah, of Olive. For some reason, I was gonna say Daisy, but that's because of the Daisy on the call.
Oh, yeah, she does have the
Yeah,
Daisy color.
I have so many names in my head right now. But yeah, of Olive, and I was like, you know what would be nice if I make food and I surprised her with like a whole bunch of food
That
when
was
she
so
got home.
sweet. That was so sweet.
Well, what did I make? Enchiladas, I think.
You did make enchiladas that time.
Yes, I did make
Yes.
enchiladas.
And rice.
And I was like, oh my goodness, I need to go get my stuff. And so I
Mhm.
go to the Target at Union Square and I'm like, this is what I need, this is what I need, this is what I need. And I take it in my little book bag going all the way uptown, you know?
Uh, well, come back soon, please. I'm
Of
ready for
course.
some Mexican food.
You'll see me in a month. I'll be there in a month.
So excited. Well, I love you. Thanks so much for joining.
I love you too, of course. And thank you for having me.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.